We are extremely excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Everyone knows and loves their hotels and casinos, but now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place all your NFL bets this season. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states to come. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you are in New Jersey. As we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. What is going on, everybody? Live right after São Paulo. Just played a game in Brazil. Very, very exciting. Justin Herbert absolutely dominated tonight. So, massive win for the Chargers. Technically, their home game. Jim Harbaugh, little muscle flex. Makes me rethink a little bit. Not that I shorted the Chargers, just thought that, it was going to be a tough year and maybe rethink some stuff. It really did. I mean, the quarterback, the coach, their philosophical, I would say, outlook or belief and philosophy when it comes to building the team. So we'll dive into some of that. Mahomes, Kelce, the Chiefs, some big picture thoughts there, as well as the YouTube experience tonight. We will dive into it all. But before we talk any football, I got to tell you about my friends, my partners, and the official ticketing app of this podcast, Gametime, best in the business. You want to go to one of these games? Obviously, football season, we are off and running. So if you want to go to one of these games, anything, concerts, comedy shows, any sport, basketball, baseball, the baseball playoffs are right around the corner. We got you covered. So here's the deal. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code JOHN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code JOHN for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets. Lowest prices guaranteed. There are certain things in sports I truly do not understand. And every once in a while, there's an argument that doesn't seem to die. And it's like I just tap out of it. I don't even really argue with it. I don't have the energy, mainly because I just couldn't disagree more. Like I've always said, I understand why Brock Purdy is a polarizing player. Hell, I understand why Jalen Hurts is a polarizing player. Dak Prescott, a lot of these players. And listen, quarterbacks are so much more famous than all these other players. They obviously get the most money. We talk about them the most. They get treated differently. They're treated differently from when we're young, like in high school, definitely through college, and obviously when they become stars in the NFL. But I've never understood the Justin Herbert discourse. Like, you don't need to be Ron Wolf or Al Davis to just sit there and go, God, this guy's really good. Like, yeah, he's had bad games. He's had rough moments in the playoffs. Welcome to the National Football League. You know who was terrible early on in his career in the playoffs? Peyton Manning. Do you know what we all universally considered Peyton Manning? One of the best quarterbacks we've ever witnessed. Lamar Jackson is currently not just one of the best players in the NFL, he's one of the most dynamic players in league history. He's won multiple MVPs. Hell, he could have won the MVP last year. He has dominated the NFL. And he's kind of been, I don't know, a disaster in the playoffs. Herbert was bad in the playoffs last year. He threw a bunch of interceptions. It happens. It's literally happened to most great players. Welcome to the highest level of professional sports. But tonight, and when Jim Harbaugh left Michigan, and let's face it, like Jim Harbaugh chose the Chargers not because he just desperately wanted to come back to the NFL. Obviously, he was very interested in leaving Michigan. Things were getting cracked down. Like he was ready to bounce, a lot like Pete Carroll a long time ago with Seattle. But when Pete Carroll left USC to Seattle, they had nothing. He was just betting on the owner and the resources and his ability to scout players and to build the thing from scratch. Jim Harbaugh was choosing a team with a star quarterback. And he told you from the jump. And listen, sometimes we need to be careful with Jim, who can be a little hyperbolic, can get a little excited when he discusses a player. But you watch tonight, he was 25 of 34, threw for 318 yards, three touchdowns, was running all over the field. That's as good as you can play. Like that is, if you watch that game and you go, if you can't go, I get it. Like I understand. Like I'm not just going to be on the argue. This guy's so overrated. This guy sucks. Like no, he doesn't. He's really good. And there's a reason when these people poll NFL coaches, NFL executives, he's always way higher than the like hipster media that wants to go against the grain and acts like this guy's really overrated. He's not even a top 10 quarterback. Like, no, guys, he's clearly just physical gifts. Like, one, I saw that there was something that went viral earlier this week about generational talents at quarterback. And one, like, Tom Brady can't be a generational talent relative to coming out of college. He went in the sixth round. Then he can become the all time greatest player. But when you go in the sixth round, no one views you as a generational talent. I think one of the greatest mistakes that I can ever remember, and listen, Tua's been solid. When Tua's been on the field, at least if it's not freezing cold outside, he can be a productive player. Now, when he plays better teams, it gets a little more difficult, but I get it. Like Tua's a legitimate NFL starting quarterback. Justin Herbert's in a different universe. And while the Miami Dolphins screwed up that situation several years ago when they had the opportunity, I don't know, to just keep losing and get Joe Burrow, the bigger mistake they made is when they could have just taken Justin Herbert. And that's where the Chargers got extremely lucky because it's been well documented they would have taken Tua as well. But when you watch Justin Herbert, you go, wait, this guy's 6'6". He's got a massive arm. He was like a 4-year starter at the University of Oregon. He's got touch. He's a super high character guy. He's really coming into his own, it seems like, as like a personality. Obviously, he's got the perfect coach for him to build him up. But watching the night against, I don't know, a team mid dynasty. I mean, they've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. They are a defensive team. Spags is not just one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. Whenever his Chiefs run is over, it will be considered one of the great defensive coordinator runs, like over the internet era. And he was picking them apart. And you're like, well, you know what? He's doing it with Randy Moss, Antonio Gates, and Jerry Rice. No, actually, he's doing it with Lad McConkey, really good player, little short slot guy. Keenan Allen, who's like 35 years old and probably runs a 5.0 40. Quentin Johnson, who most people would say doesn't have great hands, also dropped the touchdown tonight that hit him right in the hands. Was it just a fantastic pass? In his defense, he had a good night. What do you have? 5 catches for 80 yards and a couple touchdowns. So listen, one drop, it happens. Ask CeeDee Lamb. But I thought Justin Herbert tonight, that's as good as he's played an NFL game, especially when you factor in they're playing in freaking Brazil. He's playing the team that wins his division literally every year since he's been in the NFL. And that was a really big moment. And it was just fantastic. Now, I thought Mahomes was excellent as well. One thing, I think these two teams are kind of carbon copies of each other. Like, ideally, Andy Reid would love to throw a bunch of bombs. And I think that was the game plan when they drafted Xavier Worthy in the first round. The problem was tonight on the third play of the game, he runs into Travis Kelce on a crossing route. I'm recording this right after the game. I don't have the diagnosis of what happened to him, but he hurts his shoulder and he's immediately out for the game. Obviously, Rashee Rice is suspended. So whenever I hear like they're not doing a good enough job around Mahomes, well, two things. They used a 28th overall pick on a guy that runs a 4.2 that played at Texas. He had 60 catches last year and 6 touchdowns. And as they were saying on the broadcast, clearly Andy Reid told Kurt Warner, we were going to utilize this guy heavily in the game plan. Well, he's out after 3 plays. So, like, what are you going to do there? Your number one wide receiver is a moron and crashes a Lamborghini and takes off and gets suspended for, what is it, 6 games. So he's gone. And you're depending on Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, who are solid players. If you had Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy stretching the field to go along with those two guys, I do think the offense would look a lot better. Look at the Chargers today. It's like we were so critical like last year. It's like just Lad McConkey. They bring Keenan back, who I don't care how slow he is. He's going to be able to get open in a 3 or 4 yard radius until he's 60 years old. He's a very dependable player. I would call him like a route running savant, an instinctive savant. Like that's what Keenan's been doing since he was really young. And clearly, Quentin Johnson, that they are not giving up on him. They keep building him up. There's no disputing his physical talent. But when I look at the Chiefs, like one kind of elephant in the room with them is Travis is a shell of himself. Now, maybe he gets it going again at the end of the season, but like right now, week one, you don't see him being a factor when it's like 3rd and 7. Can he just beat Derwin James one-on-one? And the answer is no. Now, he does have the big touchdown catch, but to me, that's an Andy Reid schemed up play where he fakes blocking, leaks out, and he's wide open. And Mahomes obviously does a great job of getting the ball. But when they were in their peak and Mahomes was putting up these crazy numbers, Travis Kelce was an unstoppable force. He's one of my favorite players to watch during that time because it was just like football porn. Those two guys knew each other. They were always on the same page. And his ability to get open on anyone because he was so fast and athletic. Well, it's called father time. It's called age. We slow down. And you see it when he moves around. He does not move the same. So they're depending on Juju Smith-Schuster, not a Blazer, Hollywood Brown, who actually is a good player, had a good night tonight, and Travis Kelce, who's just kind of slow now. Now, I think they would say we're betting on the end, and this more than likely this is the last year of his career. It's understandable that Travis is at this point, but when you look at this version, especially once Worthy went out, there was no comparison in which offense was more explosive. It's why for them even to stay in the game, Mahomes, Herbert just got to drop back and sling it to open guys and hit guys, cutting on out routes, cutting over the middle of the field, beelining it down the seam. Just got to run a normal offense. And they had explosive play after explosive play after explosive play. The only way Patrick Mahomes gets an explosive play, if Andy Reid schemes a great play to Travis, or on, like, I guess the last drive of the game, when Travis is when Patrick's being chased by Khalil Mack and Hollywood Brown gets behind the defense and he just slings it like 60 yards down the field, which I do believe this. Patrick is one of the greatest players I've ever seen. And we know his physical attributes, his ability to run. I mean, he trucked the DB tonight. I do think he has to be much more cognizant when he's running down the field to not avoid these big hits. This is the only time these defensive guys get to hit the quarterback, and they're very amped up to do it because you spend all week getting yelled at, you spend all week in practice with the guy wearing a different jersey, and this is your 60 minutes. It's not even 60 minutes because you're only on the field for half the time. And a lot of defensive players, rotate in and out, especially linemen. Some linebackers even do, and DBs. So when they get the opportunity to take a clean shot, he took multiple shots. And no one questions his toughness. He's a complete badass. But I bet that's something with Andy. Like, we got to be smart. I mean, you are the franchise, brother. And I thought we talked so much about his arm strength, his ability to stretch the field. I think the most underrated attribute, and honestly the defining attribute for Patrick, is his touch. Think how many quarterbacks in college, in the pros, just struggle with just touch on just basic wheel routes. And there was actually one on a screen pass tonight that I think he kind of he threw it a little fast. But for the most part, Patrick is so good. Clearly, some of those remarkable plays when he's in midair, heaving it over two defensive linemen like you would at recess when you were, 13 years old, playing with 20 guys on a grass field that has a bunch of potholes. There's this little kid in him that comes out that is pretty special to watch because We have seen now this exact version of the Chiefs. They looked exactly the same once Worthy got KO'd as they have the last couple years. And finally tonight, the streak was broken. Their magic ran out, partly because Herbert was so dominant. And listen, I've been hard. I thought Hampton looked a little slow in the preseason. I thought he looked pretty good tonight. I know he only averaged 3 yards a carry, but he was running hard. He did have the one moronic play at the end of the first half where he goes out of bounds. The Chiefs didn't have any timeouts. They get the ball back, and Mahomes leads them into a field goal. It was actually just like crazy. They didn't have any timeouts. They rushed on the field goal team, and Butker hits like a 58-yarder. It was actually a pretty cool play. But I thought so. You get Hampton. Like, look at what the Chargers had tonight on the field. Herbert, top 6 pick in the draft. Hampton, first round running back. Quentin Johnson, first rounder. Ladd McConkey, high second rounder. Keenan Allen, I mean, one of the great players in Charger history and just a high end Pro Bowl level guy. And here's the other thing. And obviously, the Chiefs draft a left tackle from Ohio State. Who he started his career, Josh Simmons. He went to Helix High School. I was looking it up tonight. That's where Reggie Bush and Alex Smith went, and went to San Diego State out of high school. Was a 13, started every game as a true freshman. Can you imagine what he did in practice and in games to some of those people in the Mountain West? Because within 6 months of him graduating high school, going to San Diego State, he was at Ohio State. It was like that. It was, you didn't go to San Diego State and then kind of work his way up. It was like, boom, right to Ohio State. And you watch him tonight, you're like, that is a pretty elite special player. And I think the Chiefs will be the first to tell you, we feel pretty grateful that a guy with this talent, because typically a left tackle with that much ability is not sitting there at the end of the 30s. Or, I mean, 30, 31, 32, right? That guy goes really, really high. And I think even Jason Kelce was saying it on his podcast. He's like, this was the most talented player in the draft. This guy had Jason Peters level physical attributes, and you saw it tonight. The problem is you got the right the right tackle, who is just jumping off sides every other play. And at one moment, Travis, it looked like, was going to swing on him. Like, how is this happening? Because early on in the game, it was happening multiple times, and they weren't calling it. And then they just started calling it every single play. It's like, this offensive line has been a little bit of an issue for the Chiefs. Now it feels like finally figured out at left tackle, and you got Jawan Taylor at right tackle, who is just it's one thing. Some people jump off sides. It happens. It's football at any level, from pee-wees to high school to college to pros. You're just gonna brain fart and jump. It happened like 3 times in 7 or 8 plays. I mean, it was crazy. And I think a lot of people have been saying for a long time that there are certain players in the league that do this, and people are tired of it. So I don't think anyone felt sorry for them. But on the flip side, I'll never forget when the Chargers had the 5th overall pick in the draft when Harbaugh took over, and everyone's like, "Hey, he's gonna take a wide receiver." They don't have any wide receivers. He's got the star young quarterback. He's gonna take a wide receiver. So, guys, have you followed this guy's career? Do you understand the way this individual thinks? Jim Harbaugh, if he could choose, would every single game would be like 17-15. Honestly, it was glaring to watch tonight. Him let Herbert and Greg Roman keep calling pass plays. They were extremely comfortable calling pass plays. Even on that final drive, on the 3rd and 14, where Herbert ends up running for the first down, they let him throw on like 2nd down. And even Kurt Warner's like, that's a little crazy, run the ball. They have so much trust in this player. If you've watched him coach throughout the course of his career, from J.J. McCarthy to all the guys at Michigan to Kaepernick and Alex Smith to Luck, like, that's not his go-to. Watching a guy have 34 pass attempts when you've had the lead throughout the game is kind of un-Harbaugh-like. It shows you how much belief. It's very Andy Reid. He just kept calling pass plays. I'm like, God, he's changing a little bit. Maybe he's adapting. I know everyone thinks Greg Roman's the village idiot. Greg Roman's been an offensive coordinator for a lot of good teams. Has a lot of wins especially with both Harbaugh brothers, but specifically Jim. So when you look at the Chargers, they lose their star left tackle in training camp. That's typically, that would derail the overwhelming majority of teams. Losing a guy like Slater, mentally, you just couldn't overcome it, because we're dealing with human beings here. They'd go, what are we going to do? and they just take Joe Alt, they move him to left tackle, and you go, yeah, this guy's going to be one of the best left tackles in the league right away. And let's face it, I've had some people DM me that have had similar injuries to Slater, obviously that aren't NFL players, just normal human beings. It happened to my dad. Now, granted, at the time, my dad was probably 50 years old, but I think that injury is extremely scary, and they are equipped if he's never able to come back, if he's just a shell of himself, it won't really matter. I mean, it's not ideal. You'd rather just have two sweet left tackles, but typically when your star young left tackle rips up his knee, you would be screwed. And the Chargers just simply are not. And you look at their offensive talent, like they actually have, it felt like a lot more. And we know defensively, one thing Jim Harbaugh does as well as anyone is hire defensive coaches. Going back to when he was at Stanford and the 49ers with Vic Fangio, Mike McDonald to mentor, who came with him from Michigan, like they're just good. And that's where I said when they're the carbon copy of the Chiefs, the one thing the Chiefs do, the one thing both these teams do is they tackle. They are physical teams. Their DBs hit. They fill in the run game. If you're going to play linebacker for these teams, you are going to be a physical tackler. You're going to be like a heat-seeking missile. All the defensive linemen are tough guys. And that mentor, I mean, their defense was good last year. And everyone's like, oh, they're not playing any quarterbacks. They're not playing any quarterbacks. Well, they paid Patrick Mahomes tonight. And if it wasn't for, it was 49 yards to Hollywood Brown, he barely would have been over 200 yards. I mean, it was kind of going. You're like, God, is this the Patrick Mahomes kind of games from last year? Like in the high 180s, 190s. And then he pulls that play out of his you know what. And, he gets to 260. But their offense, you can tell it's hard to get guys open. Travis not really happening, but that was a really, really enjoyable game. And I might have to rethink my Chargers missing the playoffs. That's going to be a tough team. They have an elite coach. They have a fantastic defensive coordinator. They have a top 5, 6 quarterback. I mean, tonight he played like, I don't know, best quarterback in the league. They have really dependable offensive pieces in Lad McConkey and Keenan Allen. Get the young running back Hampton, who's just going to be solid. Part of it tonight is Becton is sick, so he's coming in and out of the game. Maybe gets food poisoning in Brazil. He's going to be. I mean, that's a huge addition for them. Just a mauler in the run game. The Chargers is going to be good. I think I overthought that one. Pissed off at myself. So other than that, anything else crazy happened in this game? One area where the game flipped is when Butker did he miss the extra point? Yeah, he missed the extra point. So it made it what was it? 13-6. So it made it 13-12 and then the Chiefs missed that 2-point conversion where the ball got batted down. So they were always kind of chasing. And last year they would be in that chase mode and then they would just figure it out at some point in time in the fourth quarter. Then they take the lead and you'd be like, oh, they're going to win. And then you get the ball back and you'd miss the field goal or whatever. That's what you kind of felt like tonight. But every time it would start to creep in, like, oh, the Chiefs are going to pull another game out of the crevice of like something. How are they doing this? And Herbert would just make a big pass. Herbert would make a big pass. Keenan Allen would get a first down. And honestly, it wouldn't even just be on third down. It'd be 1st and 10 and they would get like 7 yards. It would be 2nd and 8 and they would get, 9 yards. They were just extremely efficient tonight on offense. What were they tonight on third down? The Chargers were 7 of 13 on third down. I mean, they were just, and obviously they got a fourth down as well. The Chiefs were awful on third down early in the game, but then Rich had said like they got a stretch in the second half where they were like 5 of 5 as they were kind of coming storming back. So they were really bad on third down early in the game. And the penalties for the Chiefs, I mean, you had 10. I feel like the right tackle had 10 of them. I feel like he had the majority of them. So he's got to get that cleaned up. I mean, Andy's an offensive lineman at heart, so I'm sure they will attempt to figure that out. You got to feel good about the left tackle. First game, Brazil. Now, next week's big, right? You're playing the Eagles at home. If you look at the Chiefs' schedule, so this is you lose a division game. Now, granted, you still get the Chargers later this year at home, but you play the Eagles, then you got to go to New York Sunday night football, and then you play the Ravens. So I don't want to say the Eagles is must win, but even if you were to lose to the Eagles, then let's say you beat the Giants, then there'd be a lot of pressure on that Ravens game to obviously win. You get them at home, but to not fall to 1-3. I mean, the Chiefs, when you're winning the division all the time, you just that first place schedule, you're always going to be playing the Bills, you're always going to be playing the Ravens. Depending on how the schedule shakes up, you're playing the Texans this year, playing the Lions. So you just play tough games. I mean, it's hard, and everyone's gunning for you. When you have been the big dog for this long, the one thing I will say about the Patriots in their heyday, before Bill started losing it and they kind of fell off a cliff, is for 20 plus years. And remember when they would play a team that was like 2-8 or 1-11, and Bill would go on some long like diatribe at the start of a press conference about, this team might be 1-27 over their last 28 games, but they have the best punt coverage unit you've ever seen. And he would try to manipulate and like force his team to have somewhat of a respect for the worst team in league history, because even when you were playing the shittiest of opponents, it was that team's Super Bowl. Let alone when you played the good teams, it was that team's Super Bowl as well. And that's, the Chiefs are just getting everyone's best fight. And the other thing is these teams in their division right now, Herbert, Derwin James, Keenan Allen's been playing them forever. Obviously the Broncos, some of the guys in the Raiders like Max Crosby, Colton Miller, like they're the most comfortable seeing them. That's why I thought about the Cowboy Eagle game tonight. One area, the Eagles are just going to out talent and intimidate some teams, especially at home. But when you play your divisional opponents, and this is why gambling early in the season, you take the divisional dog because they're not intimidated no matter how big, in theory, the talent gap is or the win loss gap is. It's like they're going to be comfortable lining up against these guys. And you saw tonight the Chargers just from the jump said, we're your equal. We're every bit as good as you. And whether that's true or not as the season plays out, they sure as hell believed it tonight. And it showed. I was really impressed with the Chargers. One thing I wasn't super impressed with was the YouTube broadcast. I mean, it's Rich Eisen's a tough listen. It's not very good. We got to be honest and real. Now, in fairness to him, it's not like he is a normal play-by-play guy. He's just a TV broadcaster, radio show host. Like I don't. I do think most of these NFL broadcasts, obviously Mike Tirico is excellent, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman is really good. Al probably losing his fastball, but he's Al Michaels, so I can handle it. There's just a lot of bad broadcasts, and it's one of those where you're watching it. It's like I love football, but this is just really hard to listen to. And I did also think that a lot of stuff with YouTube. They had the Destroyer who Jackson alerted me, and I remembered because I had gone on his page probably a week ago that he had been a former kicker in college, and this was before NIL, and they basically made him choose because he was making a ton of money off YouTube. He was huge. I went to his page a little while ago, probably within the last whenever it was announced that he was going to be a part of this. I remember clicking on something, and his videos, like he's good at what he does. But one thing they clearly try to do tonight with the creators, like it's just not for me. And you know what? Not everything when it comes to football broadcasts or golf broadcasts or basketball broadcasts, when they try to be innovative and do different things, have to be for us like loyal, diehard sports fans that just want to watch the game, that just want to get into the nitty gritty. Like I mean, I do understand on the draft why they do have the cheesy ass broadcast. It's not for me. I don't want to watch, but I understand. My mom will probably shed some tears for that stuff. So, like, I understood the creator, the different angles they're doing. It's not for me. But it also crossed my mind the night that probably within the last 6 months, I listened to a couple finance podcasts, and one of the guys on one of them said that if YouTube was a standalone company, right, if they weren't under the Google umbrella, they would potentially be a top 20, 25 company in the world. Like that's how big they are, and they are trending up. Like this thing is a monster. And clearly last year, which I'm glad they did because I'm a YouTube TV guy, got the package, right? So you get all the games on YouTube TV. It's easy. The four boxes is fantastic. But the tonight, pretty innovative idea, just going YouTube only, which was easy on my TV. Just bring up YouTube, press the button, watch the whole game. If they truly wanted to, when this television deal comes up here in 4 or 5 years, they could outbid every single person. Whatever the bids were for Fox, ABC, CBS put together, they could 3X it if they wanted. I'm not saying they're going to, but if they truly wanted just to monopolize the NFL games and everything under their umbrella, and then maybe resell the Fox with, hey, you can play it on your YouTube channel, or CBS, you can play it on your YouTube channel. However they wanted to distribute it. But they could get into a bidding war, same thing with Amazon, and just wipe every traditional broadcast partner out. And I know a lot of people think that the owners, there's a loyalty aspect to the broadcast partners that have been with them from the beginning. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. But we're at a point now where we're talking numbers that are so outrageously high that sometimes you go, hey, listen, we have enjoyed our partnership. And without your help, we would never be here. And I'm glad we have made a lot of money together. But this is business deals. We're going in a different direction. Adam Silver just did something like that, right? When he got rid of TNT and he went heavily with Amazon, there are going to be way less people this year on certain nights consuming the NBA than have over the last couple years. And obviously, ratings are down. You know what he said? I don't give a shit. They are tripling our media rights deal. We are going to make so much money. I don't care if 10 people watch because of the number that they're guaranteeing us. It would be uh, a fireable offense if we didn't sign this. And you're starting to see, YouTube get heavily involved. Obviously, Netflix is getting involved. Amazon has been involved. These people have so much more money than all these networks combined. It's not even a fair fight. And if they truly want to get aggressive, which how would they not? Because YouTube's going to see how many people went to their page and clicked this game tonight. I'll promise you, it was a lot. They see every single weekend when people like me on YouTube TV are doing four boxes, are streaming games through their platform. They understand the power of it because that's the business they're in and the power of YouTube that is only growing in popularity. It's already massive. So, listen, for the broadcast, little weird. Uh, Cam Newton, uh, Kay Adams. Well, there's just a lot going on, and not everything has to be for me. Like I'm gonna like broadcasters that you're not gonna like. You're gonna like broadcasters that I'm not gonna like. You're gonna subscribe to YouTube pages that you couldn't pay me to watch, and vice versa. That's the way the world works. But I think most of us agree that like football, when a good football game's on, like tonight, it's just an enjoyable experience. And obviously, there's power and the upload speed when you're streaming stuff like this. But I've been saying this for a while, back when everyone was freaking out about Amazon Prime getting Thursday Night Football. It's like I don't know anyone that doesn't have Amazon. Yes, there are people in rural communities that don't have the capability of streaming. I'm sorry, the NFL isn't spending that much time worrying about you if you don't account for a large percentage of people. This is just a business, which is a numbers game, and clearly the numbers game is in their favor. I think I saw a good quote actually today from Nick Wright. I don't even know if this was a real quote because it was on like an aggregated page that basically said, of everyone bitching and moaning about the ads on RedZone, I hope it was a real quote. Be an adult and just watch the actual game. I'm like, I actually kind of relate to that. I've never been a huge RedZone guy because I'm watching the actual game or two, flipping back and forth. Though I understand, like, I enjoy RedZone. Like, I got 7 TVs in a room, like, it's on one of them. But, like, the volume and my attention typically is always on the game. And then I flip over to RedZone once something happens, especially a scoring play, to just essentially see the replay on that. And it feels like live. But people are going to bitch and moan about everything. And I'm sure, and I'm not trying to complain about this tonight because it was an easy experience to watch the game, not factoring in the audio. Now, the audio, Maria at one time, she's like, turn it up. And I realized, I'm like, we are way louder than normal TV. So maybe there's something in the audio when the way they streamed it. But I thought overall, in terms of the broadcast quality visually, it was completely normal to me. It was I give it an A. I had no streaming issues, felt normal, nothing flashing. Just felt like I was watching a normal game on one of the broadcast networks. But it definitely crossed my mind tonight that this is something that could be like a major talking point in years to come with them getting heavily, heavily involved in terms of buying more of the NFL. Adios. Have a good Friday night, and I'll see you Sunday.